So hi, I'm Keshav. I got through LBS Masters in Management program 2020 intake, 2019-20 intake, and the program starts in September. I could not have been more happier right now. And my journey through LBS application, it actually started way back in November. October around Diwali, I decided that yes, I'm gonna decide this. I'm gonna apply this year, and I was in two brains whether to apply or not to apply. Then finally, I made up my mind. Yes, this is the right time. I've been working for a year and a half, and I should go and apply this time, and I have a good chance of succeeding also. So I took the decision to apply, and by November, I was talking to Purvi, and by November 5 or 6, I started my applications. So in the starting, it was like I was all over the place. There was serious delays on my part. She used to call me Keshav. She used to just say that one day you give me a draft of the SOPs for all the schools that you're applying to, just in a day, and you in the next day you give me draft of all the LORs that you're applying to all the schools. So that used to be very difficult because the first draft that you come up with is totally rubbish. You write what you've been hearing all these years, the standard lines that you're esteemed university and those kind of things, and there's no structure to your thought when you actually start, and that's a very good way to start actually, when you just let out whatever you've been talking about in the SOPs or the LORs or the forms, different questions that are there. And I came at a point like it was very difficult for me to how to actually bring about the right story. There was this question, your personal goals, your ambitions after this. So I knew what were my personal goals, but I was not able to visualize it, not able to articulate it very nicely. And the essays were like really nightmares for me in the first month. Very, very difficult. I could not get the story right. I used to give one draft, and then we used to review it, and she used to scrap 80% of it, 80-90% of it. One line that she used to say, yeah, this can go in the main essay, this story can go in the main essay. So one focus that was always there was authenticity and truthfulness and originality in the stories. So I used to think a lot about these stories, what all things have happened. So at first ये कुछ याद नहीं आता था, but when you eventually start recollecting things from class 11, 12, why did you actually start studying for that college? Why did you actually wanted to go to that college? Those things automatically start coming into the right frame. So I remember one day I was like, Purvi, I can't do it. I can't write my essays. I can't write my recommendations. Please do something about it. How to write? You're saying stories, but stories don't come out. And I was like, I can't do it. And then she just said, let's wipe the slate clean. And then we had a really nice conversation that how to actually write. And she suggested that get up early at 5 a.m. and start writing and start thinking about your future goals and everything. And I think that was the changing point, the turning point, I would say, because that gave me perspective. Because when you wake up at 5 a.m. it can also be 3 a.m. in the night. When you don't have a lot of distractions, you can actually think about yourself and think about yourself without any filters. Don't really, think what is Purvi gonna think, what is my friend gonna think who's gonna see it again. Just write down stuff, and when you write down stuff, the true feelings come out, the true stories come out. Even if it's a rubbish story, it does actually come out. And from that story, Purvi can take out something that you tell me about what you did here, what you did there, and then actually the essays start shaping up. So if you gave me my essay and on the first day you said this is your essay, these stories you're putting, I was like, no, these can't be the stories that go out, because I didn't even count them in. But eventually when you start talking to people, you start talking to Purvi, say, or your friend, and then these stories actually start coming out nicely. Then you can link all these things back to the puzzle. So essays were very, very difficult. The rest of the application, not really so. Letter of recommendation was very smooth for me. I wrote it one day, it was approved the other day. Maximum 2 days of effort was there. But the essays really need to come from your heart, I believe. That is the biggest thing. And in LBS also. So I was applying to 2-3 schools. The essays were in 2 schools more or less the same. But when you actually write a very truthful essay, even if it's not the most beautiful one or the most wonderful one, a very simple, truthful, but something that connects to the school, something that connects to the vision that the school has, I think that is a good thing. And it's the only, I've been trying to write essays. The previous year also I thought I'll apply. I couldn't write the essay. This year also I was like, I can't write the essay, I can't get into the school. But then actually when you start talking to yourself, start talking to Purvi, someone like Purvi, because that brings out the nitty gritties, the small stories, and that make up the essay. And recommendation is like an easy part. You just have to remember the stories, particular instances. That now when I read my recommendation and I read my friends' recommendation, I see there's a difference of at least 10 levels in the recommendation, because my recommendation had a lot of stories, and those stories will only come if you really let it out, because there might be instances when you failed in office or you failed in your college. You have to write those things and you have to accept that yes, I failed it, and then you leave it up to Purvi. She'll turn it around how to actually put it. So recommendations have to be very very personal. One thing that I really saw, because isse pehle I have only seen recommendation like this person is very qualified to go into your course, very nice, and so that story thing in recommendation really helped, I believe. And even my senior, my partner who wrote my recommendation, ultimately I gave him my draft answers. He was like, really nicely written answers. I couldn't have added anything more to it, and they are really true and what I feel about you actually. So when you write the truth, it actually comes out best. And don't panic when you actually write the essays. It eventually falls in place, but it takes time. I took a month or two, in fact. I started in November, lost track of it in early December, then again sat on 25th of December. I said I'm going to finish everything, and I could finish everything by 10th of January. I could finish all my applications. So once you get into the flow, it just comes on. So that's about the application.